Hello!
Hey everybody, it's Crystal and Julie, and we are back. We have been away on hiatus for a super long time because the holidays came along and we were a little bit, crazy. Things are crazy with holidays.
True story.
So we just wanted to make another video. We're going to keep delivering some videos to you just based on pulmonary hypertension, what it is, and just different things that go along with it. So just a recap. It's you.
Oh, me. Okay. So I guess after the last time that we have recorded, I had an appointment with my PH specialist, which I texted Crystal probably a week and a half before. I was like, I'm actually kind of really worried about this one. I guess I just felt a little more short of breath. I felt like I'm more fatigued and just palpitations are just kind of crazy, and haven't really changed any of my medications, but and I've been compliant with my medications. So I was kind of thinking either I've just been too active, too hard on myself, because I do a lot of yoga, and then I'm kind of getting in my brain like, oh, well, because I'm kind of starting to get guns, and they're kind of scary.
Let's see.
Oh, you want to see them?
Let's see your guns.
Okay.
You said guns. I was like, what kind of guns? And then I realized what you're talking about.
Gun show. So yeah.
Check out those guns. Dang. Do you want to see mine? All right, ready? This is me flexing.
Oh, yeah.
I have no upper body strength, no muscles. You got me.
Well, you're going to start coming to yoga with me.
I know.
So, in my head, I'm thinking, because I am medically trained, I guess you would say, and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm building muscle mass, which muscle requires oxygen. If I'm building muscle, I'm demanding more oxygen from my body, and then it's making my body work harder, and so I kind of chilled out on the yoga for a little bit before my appointment, and then Crystal was kind of getting on me one time about finding my pulse ox and using my pulse ox, and I was like, she's probably right. Maybe I should be aware of what my oxygen sats are at, and so I finally found it, and I started using it, and of course it was a little low, and I think low being like, at rest it was 92, 93, and then with activity, just minimal activity, was getting to like 85, which is not normal for me. I usually stay in the mid 90s to high 90s at rest, and then with activity it probably drops to low 90s. So then of course, and then I'm in my head again, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting worse, and that's kind of my biggest fear, and I think that's a lot of our fear, is getting worse, because there's only so much treatment that we can have until we're done. So anyway, just kind of was a little worried about it, and then I thought I was running late, which turns out I was not. So I was all mad at myself because I thought I was late, and then my dad passed away in August, so when I was doing the pre-registration, they asked me about my contacts. God dang it. I already cried about this once talking to Crystal, so I was hoping it would be out of my system. But anyway, so I had to remove them from my contacts. So then, of course, I was like, just emotionally heightened. And then I go up to do my 6-minute walk, which I am always trying to beat my past walk. And they pretty much throw me into it like, oh, we're ready for you. And I'm like, okay. So, when I cry, I don't know about you, when I'm crying, it's a little harder to catch your breath and do what you want to do. So, got through it, had my echo done, and then I got to my appointment. And of course, talking about my dad again, that just like brought everything all up again. And then he's like, oh, no, you're fine. Echo looks great. Pressures are great. Your sats are better than last time with activity. Well, come to find out, since my circulation is not very good on my fingers, they said don't go by it.
Yeah.
Because when they put the probe on my forehead, I was like upper 90s, what I normally am. So I was like,
wait, do they do it on your forehead when you're walking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, whew, relief.
Yeah.
And my doctor and I have kind of agreed that I'm not going to increase my Remodulin pump unless my echo starts showing changes. my heart's a little larger or working harder. Shortness of breath, I can probably get past. I mean, I think you feel the same way.
So
you can deal with it.
Yeah, but my question is, when you ordered your meds this month, did you tell them that you got worse or that you feel better or worse? Because they always ask that question. You
said the same.
You don't lie. I always wonder though, like, if you tell them worse, do they what do they do with it? Do they tell anybody?
It's just research. But when I'm talking with my doctor, and that brings up a good point, is I can't tell if I'm better, worse, or the same. It's not a drastic worse. I think with us, it's usually a gradual progression of your shortness of breath is getting a little worse. So every time I'm talking to him, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know. I wish they were just a different reason. Yeah, it was very cut and dry. And I said, I don't know. Could it be that, I was just on my period, so my hormones are all out of whack? Could it be that it's the weather? Could it be I'm not as active, which I kind of am. And then the nurse was like, and you are getting older. And I'm like,
rub it in.
I know. There's just so many confounding factors. Yeah. And with my dad dying, am I experiencing some sort of situational depression, right, which can lower your drive and lower your capacity for exercise and just everything. So I'm like, I just don't know. So I'm not really trying to lie. Yeah. It's just, it's difficult.
I feel like on the flip side, so I have Eisenmenger syndrome. And for me, like I said in many videos before, this is all I've ever known. I've grown with this, so I don't know what it feels like to feel really good or to feel healthy or to breathe normal. But for me, I feel like I have times that I feel worse, but I don't ever worry about the actual disease progression getting worse. I feel like it's more so I'm having a bad day or I'm having a bad season or a bad summer or something like that. I never feel like it's just the disease process getting worse. So I know when I am feeling worse and the doctor calls to check on me or I call or whatever, they do ask, are you drinking enough water? Are you, staying hydrated? Are you this? Are you this? And that is my biggest downfall is I hate water. I will drink water if it's ice cold and I'm in the desert and there's nothing else around. Not like water exists there. Anyway, I don't like water. And so I'm constantly drinking soda. And that has been my biggest place of being non-compliant is drinking water and staying hydrated. I'm just not really a thirsty person, although I have an amazing McDonald's Coke right here. Shout out McDonald's.
Coke is the absolute best.
It is good. It's because of the straw, I heard. Anyway, that's what they said. Yeah, there's some kind of thing. It said the straw.
I thought it was because they have a very specific formula for their carbonation or their CO2 versus their syrup. And actually, I've heard from someone that used to work there that someone comes out to check your calibration to make sure you're staying within standards.
McDonald's, shout out. We'll take some of your money for just kidding. Not really.
Probably not great for your pulmonary hypertension.
It's not, but yeah, so that's
guess what? We gotta get our jollies when we can.
I know, right? No, so that's one of my biggest arguments with my doctor is staying hydrated and not drinking soda and drinking water. And the last time I saw him, he actually, he doesn't yell, but he really did. You could tell he was really ticked off that I wasn't following through, which kind of
and
sucks.
That kind of breaks your heart because it almost feels it's when your parents say, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, that's him. How I felt. Yeah. So, so that's kind of how I am. I always feel there's a reason behind it, not necessarily the reason being disease progression, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it's just because mine is based around Eisenmenger's and not just pulmonary hypertension or what the difference is. And that's something Julie and I were talking about earlier is wondering why some people do better with pulmonary hypertension than others. And so that's we were trying to figure out if it was just the group that you're in or if it's just your body prior to being diagnosed.
Yeah, and I think for me, because you asked me this a while ago when we first met, and you asked, do you have a lot of, good days, bad days? Do you have more good days than bad days? And at that point, I really didn't. Mine was pretty much even keel. I felt the same pretty much all the time. Summer heat didn't bother me. The cold didn't bother me. I felt the same. So for me to have good days and bad days is more alarming to me, because then it makes me feel like my disease is progressing. And then I start getting paranoid.
That's it.
But then again, like I was saying with the depression, it almost resembles, when you have days when you're super motivated to do things.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, am I freaking bipolar? Do I have bipolar disorder? Because there are days where I'm just don't want to do anything at all. And then other days I'm like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. That's what I feel like.
Climbing into like trees and stuff.
But I don't think my lows are, I think it's just normal, motivation.
I think that would be a really good topic for us to talk about is depression with pulmonary hypertension. I know that I was approached by the team at Ohio State at one point to be part of a study with depression and pulmonary hypertension. So I know that the studies exist, and I know that they are trying to find the link there. So I guess I'd be kind of curious to see, maybe ask the question if you guys want to comment, just on, do you battle with depression? Do you think that it is something that is related to your pulmonary hypertension, or do you feel, more despair now that you have been diagnosed? But I think we should do a video on it at some point, because I'd like to know.
Yeah, so. For sure. And another thing about my appointment, my last thing.
Oh, you're okay.
I'm going to have to switch pumps.
Oh, yeah.
To the big CAD Legacy. And I know on another video I was like, oh, look at my pump. Look how small it is. It's awesome. Yeah, and I bet there were people out there laughing at me. But, yeah, I got news that I have to switch to the CAD Legacy, and I'm not very thrilled about it.
It's like you're going back to the big desktop computer that had the big deep screen back in the 80s.
I have thought about writing a stern letter, but I'm not sure how far it'll get it, but hey, you never know. And I know there are plenty of people who have the CAD Legacy pump, but I've just been with this one for, 12, 13 years.
Oh, wow.
It's a part of me.
I only have the big one, so
I know how to maneuver around it. I know which clothes look good with it. I know what to do with it. Now with this big old honking thing, where am I going to put it? I saw somebody posted something about stash bands, which it's like this big workout band. I think it's a workout band. I'm not sure.
Oh.
But you can put like your phone, your keys, like if you're out jogging, walking, or just out at the park or wherever, and you don't want to carry a purse.
Oh.
So.
Like a fanny pack?
Kind of, yeah.
Julie's going to be walking around with a fanny pack. And people are like, they're back, and they're all going to follow you because you're going to look so awesome with your fanny pack.
Yeah, thanks for trying to make me feel better.
I'm trying.
It's not working. I'll get over it, I promise.
You will. So nothing's really happened with me. I haven't really had an appointment since our last video. The one thing, the positive thing is, I know I've talked a little bit about my pregnancy, and it was kind of a big thing at Ohio State, just because of how everything went down, and I am going to do a video on that here soon. But the Columbus Dispatch called me and wanted to do a story on my son and I, and kind of talk about Ohio State and Dr. Daniels, and just kind of how his role, what his role had to do with, the success of our story and that. So I met with them on Monday and I had a phone interview, and then on Thursday I went down and we got our picture taken. So the story is going to hit the Columbus Dispatch February 3rd from what I'm told. So I will post the link to that so you guys can kind of read about us.
See this face?
It almost died.
See this face? We are going to be to the new faces of PH.
Yes, we are. And we need to add some of you with us. So, I think that's it for this time.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you, how have you been feeling with the cold? So, we're in Ohio, and it is
right now.
Winter has finally hit. We went all through December with fall weather, pretty much.
40s.
And it finally hit. So, we have tons of snow, so -0 temperatures. Yep. And I know you get a little sensitive with the extreme cold.
Yes, yeah.
How have you been doing?
Cold bothers me a lot.
How's that been working out for you?
So, So yeah, cold weather really bothers me, more so than the heat, which is kind of weird because I think a lot of people that I've talked to, the heat bothers them more so than the cold. But I have always been that kid. Like I said, I've grown up with this. So every single winter without fail, I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia, which is exactly how they found out that I had pulmonary hypertension and a congenital heart defect. Was I was really, really sick. I was at a babysitter's house. I started turning blue. I was coughing, and they're like, oh, she has pneumonia. And I almost died. And then they were like, this is more than pneumonia. And then they kind of did some more research. They thought that I had cystic fibrosis. And then an amazing doctor came in and was like, nope, she has a congenital heart defect. And then it went from there. But so yeah, I was in the hospital all the time with winter, just getting sick, and I get sick very easily. By the grace of God, I have not been sick in the past several years, like really, really sick. And this time I just kind of have a cold. I've got the normal cold that I got from my 7-year-old.
And I'm sitting this close to her.
You are. Sorry. Julie might be sick. No, so my son got me sick. Lovely. But it's just normal cold. But I feel I'm okay. Like I couldn't go to yoga this morning because I knew I wouldn't be able to breathe.
Wait, you're doing yoga?
Just booty yoga. I go on Monday sometimes. Sometimes.
I've never done booty
when
yoga.
I like to grace them with my like
heavy
out of
breathing.
breath. Yeah. People are like, what's wrong with her? And why is she almost dead right now?
I've had people, I don't mean to derail you, but I've had instructors come up to me and they're like, your face got really red. Are you okay? Were you okay? I'm like, that's just my face.
Yeah, it just happens.
And she's like, okay.
Do you always like blame it on like, that's just what it is? Like you don't go into detail and tell them?
I think some of them know. Some of them, because I went on a yoga retreat last year and I talked to a lot of people. I kind of shared my story.
You prepared them?
Well, I've been doing yoga for about almost a year before I went on the retreat, so they kind of knew.
They knew. Okay.
But I think this particular instructor was newer, and she's not used to being around me. And I said, don't worry, I won't push myself too much. It's just the way it is.
I always tell everybody, because I went to pound class, which is super fun.
What's that?
It's like drumsticks.
Oh, drumsticks?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And I almost died, but I didn't. I'm here.
But did you die?
But did you die? No. You guys, I am so sorry if this is like ever offensive to anybody. I have to make light of this situation, and I always laugh about stuff because I have to kind of stay lighthearted about it because I can't just dwell on it. So if I'm ever offensive to anybody that's dealing with this, I really don't mean it in that way. It's just kind of how I cope and just how I've dealt with it.
And that's kind of how I am too.
So I apologize.
I don't read too much into things.
This seriously, pulmonary hypertension is not a joke at all, but I've had to over the years find a way to kind of deal with it because I was bullied as a child. I have cyanosis with my congenital heart defect. It makes me blue, which I don't know, a lot of you probably, I don't know if you can even see it right now. But my fingers, I have clubbing of my fingernails. I don't know if you can see that.
To the side like
especially
that.
my thumbs. Yeah, my thumbs are pretty bad. So, I mean, let's be honest. I look different. I don't look like your average bear. I'm not the average bear. But, so I've always had to make light of the situation just because I didn't know how to do that as a kid. And now that I'm older, I've kind of figured out ways, like I can wear makeup to cover my face when it's blue. I put gloves on or I had my hands or, so I have to find a way to make light of it. But I really do apologize if I ever offend anybody by, making fun of the situation because I know it's not really a laughing matter. But anyways, I went into pound class, and usually I don't just go up and be like, hey guys, I have pulmonary hypertension and a heart defect, so this is what you can expect. Like, I don't want to make a spectacle, but I will jokingly be like, I'm just going to tell you guys now, if I lay on the floor and I pass out or something, don't put me on a ventilator. I'm not dead. Just like let me lay there. Like, I'm always kidding around about it just because I know that I get really, really blue and I get tired and out of breath. And I don't want to alarm anybody. I just want them to know, be like, oh yeah, she said this was going to happen. Like,
yeah, but don't you kind of feel like even like somebody would say, I know she told me that this was going to happen, but I'm still freaked out and I'm still going to call the ambulance.
They still freak out. And I mean, if I am passed out, I would hope they would call the ambulance.
Do you pass out during classes?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
I was going to say.
I've never pushed myself far enough to try.
Yeah, don't do that.
But anyway, so yeah, I went to pound class and I'm like pounding away and What I have noticed in doing booty yoga and doing pound classes, there's a lot of bending that wears me out. Like, I can't do like down dog and that kind of stuff because it really like, it bothers my breathing a lot and I can't like recover quickly.
I sometimes get dizzy, like disoriented and like a vertigo almost.
Yeah.
If I'm going down and up too much.
Yep.
And some days are worse than others. So, and I think that might have to do with how much, if I'm dehydrated or not. Which I have started I'm gonna throw out a name here, but Rachel Hollis's Last 90 Days, which was October, November, December, I've continued it into the new year, and pretty much she has her 5 to Thrive. It's just 5 things to focus on each day, and one of them is water intake, and she recommends drinking half your body weight in ounces of water.
I would not be good for this. I could do it in Coke or Mountain Dew.
So I was cautious because I know with us, sometimes water restriction is needed. So I started, drinking my 75 ounces of water and like paying attention to if I'm more short of breath, if I'm more swollen. But I have found that I think the more hydrated I am, shocker, the less my heart palpitates and the less dizzy I get.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's probably common sense, but like Crystal, I hated water. I would go days without drinking, like, legit straight water.
Oh, I can't tell you the last time I actually drank water.
Yeah. But it helps. It helps me anyway.
Oh, it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't help. I know.
And I'm like, yes, my kidneys are still working great.
I know the importance of water. I'm just saying I choose not to take part in that disgusting drink that you all call healthy. I can't do it.
No.
So, anyway, but yeah, so back to my cold. We got way off topic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know.
Get
Focus.
the train back on the tracks.
I do notice that it is harder for me to breathe when I have a cold, which I think is just normal. And when I actually inhale, I feel like it sounds different. But I was really bad too, and I forgot to order my medication. And so I went 3 days without my App Summit, which is really, really bad. I'm really bad at doing that. I always forget, and like I said, I have a lot going on, so I always put my health last, which is terrible. But so that combination of not having that for 3 days and then getting the cold kind of put me back a little bit, but I feel like I'm good today, so tomorrow I think I'll be even better. But yeah, so that's kind of where I've been, and that's where we've been, and we are thankful you guys are watching. If you are still watching,
share, like, tag your friends,
subscribe, whatever that is. I don't know. My kid loves YouTube. He knows all the like term. Make sure you like and blah blah blah. So anyway, anything else?
Nope.
We're good. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Julie and Crystal Show, if that's what it's called. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.